implementation of what he called brave economic reforms, the South African president agreed that the two countries have much more wealth to create together in close and international partnership, with each nation leveraging each other's respective strengths. The South African president emphasized that history has proven that Nigeria and South Africa can move the world on matters of mutual concern when the two nations operate on the same wavelength. The federal government says part of its debt recovery effort is to block loopholes and activate strategies geared towards recovering debts owned by individuals and corporate organizations. These were part of the speech delivered by Director of Special Projects of the Ministry of Finance, Aisha Omar, on Tuesday at a sensitization workshop on debt recovery organized in Gombe for the Northeast Zone. Omar, who was represented by Deputy Director Bridget Monoku, said the key policy objectives of Bola Tinubu's administration are to increase revenue from non-oil sectors and block loopholes. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, has demolished the popular Kilishi market located in the Area 1 of Abuja. The demolition, which took place on Monday, followed a notice earlier issued on Sunday by the Director of Development Control, Federal Capital Territory Administration, Mokhtar Galadima. During a meeting with traders and owners of shops at the Area 1 complex, partner correspondent Danjo Abdullahi of Gila News monitored the exercise and now brings us details.
To administer the Federal Capital Territory. He has vowed to demolish all illegal buildings and structures in the territory as part of efforts to restore the Abuja Master Plan. Traders at the popular Kilishi market in Area 1 shopping complex this week received early morning visitors. The FCT Department of Development Control, the AEPB, the police and other security operatives have come to carry out the cleanup of the illegal market that sprang up in the parking lot of the shopping complex. Traders ran frantically trying to save their commodities and the tools of their trade. Time has run out. There is no escaping the wrath of the law. Some traders claim that they have not been adequately warned.
Not from Friday till today is very short time. And Friday, after Friday, we enter weekend. That is why you see the message doesn't circulate. And some people doesn't come market on Saturday, Sunday. That is why you see the message. Some of my members complain. That is why the complaint comes from. The notice given to us is very short.
This is not the arrangement. But you know, they say they want to sanitize the place. And we are law-abiding citizens. So we are not against sanitizing the environment or the market.
But the Department of Development Control denied this position, saying that they had had a meeting with leaders of the traders 3 days earlier and were given adequate notice to vacate the place until an alternative arrangement has been made.
We met with them on Friday. We discussed on modalities. They promised and they pledged their support for this action. That's why you see some of them, they are even moving around together with us this morning.
The union leadership assured the FCT administration that they will comply with the enforcement that is supposed to be carried out today. And today when we got here, the leadership also were positive to their commitment. Even though one or two were trying to say they did not get that notification. But on Saturday, just this last Saturday, the Development Control and the Environmental team came to mark. So that is another round of notification to them.
A neighborhood qualifies as a good neighborhood by the peace and security it enjoys. This portion, Area 1 in Garki, Abuja, is mostly residential. Very quiet apartments, schools, and places of worship right there behind me. Parents here are proud of the neighborhood, but they are not proud of the illicit and illegal activities that take place near the Area 1 shopping complex.
Activities that goes on here is not healthy for the growing children we have here. There are some vices that take place here, like vices of smoking, dealing in drugs, sales of drugs, even pickpocketing and other vices, which is not good for the growing children here.
as a responsible government, we cannot just sit down and watch. We have to act appropriately and at the right time. So that's why we're here.
We are feeling with the new administration to look into our matter, to make sure that any traders who are removed from his place, they should make sure they reorganize and leave him to trade. Why is he trading?
We cannot just be building a city that within 30 years it's become a slum. No, we have to do something quick to save the situation.
In addition to the security challenge posed by the existence of this illegal market, there are also serious sanitary and hygienic issues around this illegal market. Garbage is usually dumped by the roadside, creating an eyesore and an embarrassment to residents and visitors alike. Traffic congestion also added to the challenges at the Area 1 shopping complex. The FCT Department of Transport tagged along in this operation and towed away illegally parked cars. The question that readily comes to any discerning mind is why were the traders allowed to operate an illegal market in the first place?
Anybody you see here, he's not living here illegal. He is selling, he is paying every month. We are paying the government. So the fault is what, even if you see all this thing, it's not from us, it's from the managers, which Abuja Makim Manager Limited, they are the managers of the market.
You pay to stay in an illegal place does not mean you will be considered. Illegality is illegality.
FCT ministers in the past have confronted the distortion of the Abuja master plan. They've done their best, but the monster has remained intractable because right after demolitions, the culprits will begin to regroup and go back to business as usual. Danjuma Abdullahi.
Our partner correspondent, Jajma Abdullahi, just to let our viewers know that in order to understand the issues at stake with regards to all of the efforts aimed at restoring the Abuja Master Plan as originally conceived, the Director Development Control of the FCT, Mokhtar Galadima, will be joining us on Global Morning here today. Let's turn to other stories for you now. President of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Comrade Festus Osifo, says his bloc of the organized labor has met with the Minister of Labor, Samuel Along, who leads the federal government's delegation. Speaking with journalists after a closed-door meeting at the Ministry of Labor, Comrade Osifo stated that they have presented their list of demands to the federal government, noting that operations of government should not come to a halt on account of the president's absence. Sharon Ajay completes the report.
The TUC president, in response to questions from journalists, said the organized labor has been in touch with the government, emphasizing that the expectations is amicable resolution of the issues that have led to the current situation.
We told them that time is of essence. We told them that the patience is running out. We told them that we cannot continuously engage in rhetoric. We can't keep these to and fro conversations in endless meetings. That all we want is action. All we want is results.
He stated that the leadership of the Congress has painstakingly kept track of the distribution of palliative with the aim of following the progress or otherwise of the exercise.
After our last NEC meeting, we also said that we will not leave it at the federal government stand alone, that we are also going to take it to the states. As of today, we are collecting reports across all the states, even the little palliatives that has been released. How has it been expended? We are collecting that result, and we are going to address you in the coming days on these subjects, state by state, region by region, what has been done.
On whether an ultimatum is still in force, particularly with regards to the proposed indefinite strike. Comrade Osifo expressed TUC's desire to wait for President Tinubu's return from the United Nations General Assembly, while dialogue also continues across the states of the Federation.
Let's wait and see if truly they will be back by weekend. If they are not back by weekend, and if next week elapses, we, the NAD, the CWC and the neck of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, we have to review this entire thing and take a definite position on it.
Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
As part of efforts to eradicate the use of illicit drugs in Africa, Nigeria is set to host the 31st edition of African Heads of National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies HONLAF Conference. Director General of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Buba Marawa, disclosed this yesterday while addressing journalists in Abuja. Buba Marawa, who was represented at the event by the agency's secretary, Shadrach Haruna, said the conference will foster synergy among anti-narcotics organizations across African countries in order to profile solutions and curb the menace of hard drugs. Judith Peters has more.
The representative of the Director General NDLEA stated that the conference will have in attendance 53 heads of NDLEA and African to deliberate on how to end drug abuse, trafficking trends, and to discover strategies to combat the scourge of this in the region.
The reason for this press conference is to inform you of the forthcoming heads of National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies Africa with the acronym HONLAF Conference, which Nigeria will host. It is a subsidiary body of United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs and a body under the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The HONLAF meeting is an annual event that brings together heads of drug law enforcement agencies in Africa to discuss drug abuse and trafficking trends and develop actionable strategies to combat the scourge of this.
Country representative of United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, Oliver Stoll, says the conference will help African heads to deliberate on how to reduce production and consumption of drugs and give opportunities for African countries to learn from each other.
Notably, regional and international cooperation to reduce illicit cultivation and production of drugs, something that we have observed thanks to the operational success of NDLEA over these past years, also here in Nigeria, not just in terms of cannabis, but also manufacturing, for example, of methamphetamines. Including, however, also discussions around alternative developments, which is an approach that is being promoted in many countries that are traditional drug cultivation countries, and which I think, at least for some of the products that are being produced locally, could be also seen as a possible approach, so an opportunity to learn from others.
Olu has invited the Department of Security Services, DSS, to join the probe of lead singer Ilerioluwa Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad. This was contained in a statement signed by Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Gbenga Omotosho, on Tuesday. Mohbad, a former signee of Naira Marley at Malian Records, died last Tuesday at the age of 27. The state government also commiserated with the family and fans of the former Malian Records signee. In addition to the police special investigative team in Lagos to probe the death of Mohbad, Babajide Sanwo-Olu has invited the DSS to join the investigation and widen the dragnet with interagency collaboration and use of best-in-class technology to unearth the truth. Governor Sanwo-Olu has directed that all those who may have played any role whatsoever in any event leading to the death of Mohbad be made to face the law after a thorough investigation. The state government pleaded with all those who may have vital information that could assist the investigation process to avail the investigative teams of such. The federal government, in a bid to end terrorism menace, is set to implement the West African Police Information System, WAPIS, in Nigeria. This was revealed by the Minister of Police Affairs, Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, when he hosted a delegation from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, European Union, and Interpol during their visit to the headquarters of the Ministry of Police Affairs, Abuja. Gaidam said the visit marks a significant milestone in the journey towards the implementation of the West African Police Information System and in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He also said the implementation of the WAPIS holds immense significance for the Nigerian police and the country as a whole, as Nigeria stands at the forefront of addressing the complex challenges of transnational crime and terrorism, as well as the need for efficient and reliable information sharing mechanisms that cannot be overstated. He said this will enable the country to tackle the menace of organized crime, drug trafficking, human trafficking, as well as terrorism more effectively. In addition, Gaidam noted that it will empower Nigeria's law enforcement agencies with the necessary tools to identify and apprehend criminals who operate across national boundaries, ensuring that they face the full force of justice. Let's turn to stories beyond our shores now. A large crowd hailed soldiers as a convoy passed through Gaya on September 13, Niger's closest city to Benin on its southern border. Cheers and slogans hostile to France and the regional bloc ECOWAS could be heard. The ruling junta is at odds with its neighbors from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Niger's military rulers who have deposed President Bazoum have accused Benin of authorizing the stationing of soldiers and war materials in view of an aggression they say is desired by France in collaboration with certain ECOWAS countries. The Wagner Group reportedly invested enormous sums to pay protesters who raised Russian flags, pro-Wagner banners and posters with portraits of Yevgeny Prigozhin as well as Vladimir Putin side by side. August 6th. Protesters are believed to be paid by Wagner to provoke violence, including against foreign embassies and military bases. This makes it possible for Wagner to interfere directly in Nigerian political affairs by instrumentalizing for its benefits a national and patriotic Nigerian demonstration. A boat carrying around 100 passengers sank on a river in northern Myanmar on Tuesday morning, with thousands feared missing. The vessel sank around 10 a.m. local time on the Chinduin River in Meguen Township. Media quoted a source close to the local transport minister saying a search operation had begun and the number of missing people was being tallied. You're watching Global TV AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using that Global TV NG as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. When Global TV AM News returns, APCON recovers 70% of 4 trillion naira bad debts. We'll tell you about this and more right after this short break. To stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News on Global Television. We're live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has compulsorily retired all management staff with less than 15 months to statutory retirement. In an early Tuesday morning announcement, the company declared that the retirement of the affected workers was with immediate effect, stressing that the move would support its business objectives. The national oil firm disclosed this via its official X handle, saying, consequently, in addition to the recent exit of 3 executive vice presidents, other management staff with less than 15 months to statutory retirement will be exiting the company effective September 19, 2023. It was further gathered that the firm also carried out employee reorganizations in its top management cadre, moving some senior officials to other arms of its ventures, such as the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited and Nigeria Petroleum Development Company, among others. The Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, has revealed that it has successfully recovered more than 70% of the 4 trillion naira in bad debts from debtors, despite prevailing concerns related to interest rates. Ahmed Keru, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of AMCON, made this known while speaking to newsmen in Lagos on Monday. He noted that the original funding plan of AMCON was 10 years and that there was the assumption that the banking industry would grow at a rate of 20%, highlighting that the banking sector's growth has been below 5% for the past 7 to 8 years. A lot of recovery has been made, but it looks like there is no impact because of the interest rates on the loans, and those were the exact words of the MD CEO of AMCON. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Princess Adejoke Orelokpe Adefolure, has joined leaders and experts from around the world to call for increased investments in alignments of resources from public, private, domestic, and other sources to accelerate progress on the delivery of 2030 agenda. Orelokpe Adefolure made the call while speaking at a higher level. Event held at the margins of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, tagged Accelerating SDGs Progress through National Financing Strategies and Integrated National Financing Frameworks. The event, organized by the governments of Nigeria and Indonesia in collaboration with key partners that includes the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and UNICEF, is aimed at shedding light on the critical role of national financing strategies and integrated national financing frameworks in achieving SDGs. Let's take a quick look at sports now. The Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has confirmed that Sao Tome and Principe have withdrawn from the 2024 Women Africa Cup of Nations first round against Nigeria. The nighttime African champions were to host the Sao Tome and Principe ladies in the first leg of the qualifying match at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Lagos, on Friday, with the return leg scheduled for Tuesday, September 26. The Nigerian football governing body last week released a list of 24 players for the clash, with camp slated to open same Tuesday. However, NFF's Director of Communications, Ademola Olajire, stated that logistics was the primary reason for their opponents' withdrawal from the WAFCON qualifiers. And that's the much we have for you here on Global TV AM News. I'm Oya Agmofwebe. Thanking you so very much for watching. Remember that we'll be joined in the course of Global Morning today by the Director, Development Control of the FCT, Mokhtar Galadima. Do stay with us.